Hey gorgeous soul, I'm Zoe and welcome to the Oasis State podcast, where we dive deep into all things emotion, energy and intuition. Remember to follow and share the pod, and let's get into it. Hello gorgeous soul, and welcome back to another episode of the Oasis State podcast. I'm so happy to be here. I haven't recorded a podcast in a few weeks. I've been a busy little bee with other things Oasis State related. I've self-published my first book. It's a grief book about my experience of losing my dad. So that's been a wild professional and personal evolution and expansion. I've been navigating that. And I've also been busy behind the scenes creating my next and biggest offering with Oasis State, which is an online membership platform for women called Oasis State Club, where we guide each other through our personal evolutionary journey, our self-discovery, our journey of becoming our most aligned, empowered, and authentic self. And it's terrifying to create such a big offering, but I'm so excited. So that's what I've been doing. I haven't sat down and in front of the camera in a while and with the mic. So I'm really excited to be here. Today's episode I'm so excited about. I have taken some notes. I usually just channel my podcast episodes, but I wanted to make sure I didn't miss a point because I'm on 50 million tangents. So I'll try to stick to the notes, and we are going to decode and understand signs that you're an empowered woman. And this is just such a potent, reflective episode for you, because the inspiration for this episode came about the other day, like a few days ago, when I was going on a walk, and I was having these really reflective moment, like a really long walk, reflecting on how far I've come, the woman that I was, the woman that I am now, and the woman that I'm continuing to become. And I was just flooded with so much gratitude and so much pride. And I realized the signs that I believe is a truly empowered woman are not ones that are very loud across social media. I think the poster woman for an empowered woman is, you know, a woman that's highly successful and happy all the time, and she has great magnetism and she's just killing it at life. And yeah, they are definitely huge parts of being an empowered woman, but it's just scratching the surface. So I wanted to jump on here and sort of dive deeper into the signs that you are an empowered woman. And if you resonate with these, congratulations, take it as a sign to celebrate yourself. Or if some of these are a surprise to you, then it's a good little signpost to pivot your focus on embodying these skills, these self-awareness, and the inner practices, whatever it is, to resonate with these signs a bit more. Because in my personal experience, it's just the most fulfilling, incredible journey. So yeah, I suppose we've covered, like, it's not what a empowered woman isn't, but I just don't want you to be, you know, all over social media. We can look at reels and there's, you know, they've got the trending audio and captions and everything, and there's all these women out there killing it and they're full of confidence and everything. And yes, that's part of being an empowered woman, but these women, to become that version of themselves that created this edgy reel that shows how confident they are, how much business success they've had, etc., whatever it is, they had to overcome these signs that aren't really as well portrayed online. Like the PR manager for what a authentic empowered woman is it's not really, the manager's not really managing, you know? So I wanted to record this episode just to help you, like, invite you to celebrate yourself a bit more, because you're probably way more empowered than you're giving yourself credit for. So here, let's get into it, hey? So the first sign that you're an empowered woman is all about identity. And like I said, it's not about walking around with this lethal confidence at all times and, you know, knowing her success. And yes, we should have confidence. Yes, we should know that success is our birthright, etc. But being a truly empowered woman is having the identity of the version of yourself that has got you. If you're an empowered woman, you have got you. I don't know how else to say that. It's like you've got to be good either way, which is a broad definition of detachment as well. And this is sort of like a very general sign to start, like the rest of the points that I'll make in the podcast episode is, do you know that you are the version of yourself that has got you? Yes, are you the version of yourself that's got yourself when you've got that win, when you can show up online and celebrate your success, you've got the job, the partner, the baby, whatever it is you want. But also, are you confident that you're the version of yourself that has got you when things are rough, when there's no evidence of the success that you want, when you're not feeling happy, when you're not feeling high vibrational? And to me, that's a true, authentic sign of empowerment is embodying that identity and truly, truly knowing that identity of, I know I've got me. Even when you're on your knees or crying, or you just don't know how things are going to end, or things haven't gone your way, do you still have that? Even if it's a whisper at times, it doesn't have to be a loud, like I said, straight spined, confident version of yourself. But even if it's a whisper, you have to be identifying with that version of you that has got yourself at all times, even when things don't go your way, even when things seem to be falling apart. Are you still identifying with that version of yourself that has got you? And that's a huge one in every sense of the word. So when things don't go your way, when you're confused, when you hit a roadblock, etc., how are you holding yourself? How are you relating to yourself? Excuse me, a little fly on the around me right now. How are you relating to yourself, and how are you picking yourself back up when things go sideways? Because we're not in the driver's seat at all times. We're co-creating with the universe, and things aren't going to go to plan. And I've got an example of this in following signs. So that sort of leads on to my next point. A sign that you're an empowered woman is that you trust even when things don't go your way. So this is basically just highlighting that we need to have oh, sorry. There's this little fly. I think it just went up my nose. I'm going to keep going. A sign that you're an empowered woman is that you trust even when things don't go your way. So basically, it's identifying and embodying and living and breathing this positive, expansive mindset. And you will feel like a victim, you will feel disempowered if you are always identifying with a worst case scenario. So say something doesn't go your way. If you're feeling disempowered or identifying with someone that's disempowered, like an identity of someone that's disempowered, then we're going to not be able to stay level-headed and let our emotions and let all of our energy and focus go to why something didn't go our way and what's going on and what did I do wrong. We're going to blame ourselves. We're going to be confused, and we're going to get stuck in this worst case scenario mindset. And that's, if you're viewing the world that way, then the world will just keep reflecting back to you what's the worst case scenario. Because if you're always in a state of threat and looking for the threat and what's going wrong, then that's what's going to be reflected back to you. So a sign you're an empowered woman is trusting even when things don't make sense, even when things are falling apart. We're trusting that there's a greater plan ahead of us and that we just need to keep putting one foot in front of the other. And it's just, it just breathes life. It breathes focus. It breathes power back into your being, because the way that we're relating with life is the thing that we have most control of at all times. And I don't know if control is the right word, because that's very, has a negative connotation, but it's just knowing that we can always choose how we want to relate to the world at all times. And that is true empowerment. And this isn't to gaslight you. If something goes wrong and you do inevitably feel, a wave of dense emotions about it, or feel some doubt coming up, or feel some blame and confusion and questioning and imposter syndrome coming up, it's not about gaslighting yourself or feeling shame if you do that, but just remembering that if I'm an empowered woman, then I'm deeply, deeply rooted in a state of trust at all times. And it's a muscle and it's a skill. So if like something doesn't work out, I can't think of an example right now, but if something doesn't work out, it's okay if you feel a charged emotional response to that, but it's about honoring that emotion, honoring that wave, honoring that voice, and the doubtful voice, the confused voice, and parenting yourself back into this space of, okay, that's all right. That didn't go to plan. I'm feeling, an inevitable sense of disappointment about it, and I'm going to feel what I need to feel, but then I'm going to straighten up my crown and put my big girl pants on and keep going about life, and just trusting that the universe knows what I want. So if it didn't come in this way, then it must be coming in a better way. So that's that whole expansive, positive, trusting mindset coming out, is that we're always seeing the best in every scenario, but don't gaslight yourself if you have a negatively charged emotional experience when it doesn't go your way. Like I said, it's an awareness muscle, and it's an empowerment muscle that we keep building. Excuse me. So my example of this is I want to call in more money into my life, basically. That's sort of the start of the manifestation piece there. Is I've started my business and, money comes and goes, and I'm sort of still trying to create that financial freedom and create a bit of financial, like a foundation for myself. And it's early business. I'm not expecting to make fucking 10K in a day sort of thing. So I was like, okay, well, maybe to alleviate that pressure of financial stability from, a business that I've just really gone all in with, maybe I'll go looking for work. And I applied for some jobs, and there was one of them that really felt aligned. I was like, this is perfect. It's not going to, take away from my business too much, which is my, focus, but also it'll be good to have a little bit of extra money, not worry about bills too much, etc. And literally just before excuse me. It's my breakfast coming up. Just before I came on and recorded this podcast episode, I received an email for a job that I thought I had nailed. I was like, this is perfect. It's going to be a great amount of hours, extra money, etc. And I got an email saying, hey, thanks for the interview, etc., but we're not going to offer you the position. And it was absolutely incredible how easily I processed that. And that's because I have time and time again learnt how to flex my faith muscle. So I have put the desire out into the universe to manifest more money and more financial stability. And I thought I took the intuitive hit to go and look for part-time work as the avenue with which that money is going to come through. And I've hit a roadblock with that. And it's not to say that I won't go and get another part-time job, but I thought this particular one that I applied for, that I felt quite aligned with and excited about, I thought that would be the one. And they've emailed me saying, hey, it's not going to happen. And I know that past versions of myself would be feeling so overwhelmed and so much shame and this huge wave of failure, like identifying as a failure, like, oh, you didn't get the job. It's, everything's going to be stressful. Everything's going to fall apart. But this time round, I'm so deeply rooted in trusting that it's all going to work out, because I've put that desire out into the universe to have more financial stability, and having a part-time job is one of the millions of ways that the money can come through. So maybe it's definitely not through this job. They've emailed me, obviously. Maybe it's through another part-time job that is even more aligned, or maybe my business will take off in the next few days and I will make 10K a month, or maybe I'll get some inheritance. You know what I mean? There's so many ways with which the universe will bring that desire for financial freedom into my life. And my job is to stay rooted in trust and faith and take the aligned steps. So I felt an intuitive hit to apply for this job, and I did, and it hasn't worked out, but I've learned a lot along the way. It's been a few weeks from applying to the job and interviews to getting the feedback today via the email, and I wouldn't change any of it for the world. I'm not here freaking out, feeling like an imposter, feeling like a failure, feeling like I've wasted my time. I literally just read the email and was like, okay, well, universe, show me the plan, show me the something is better out there for me. And that's come from years and years and years of flexing that faith muscle. And it's, to me, a huge sign of empowerment, because I'm not going to waste my time over analyzing why they didn't want to give me the job, or what's going wrong, or stressing about bills, etc. I'm just going to straighten my crown and keep going and trust that something more aligned is out there for me. So that's an example of really, really deeply staying rooted in your trust. But also, like I said, if I was not in such a high vibrational, relaxed, regulated state today, and I received that email, and I'd put a bit more weight and meaning behind whether I got the job or not, and I did feel an emotionally charged response to not getting that job, that would also be okay as well, because I find, and that is one of the points I'm sort of blending it in, but as an empowered woman, I find strength in my softness. So if I did have a stress-related, emotionally charged response to not getting that job, that quotation marks failure, that would be okay as well, because I would flex another sign, and I'll tangent into it now. I would flex another sign that I'm an empowered woman is that I have strength in my softness. And the thing is, like I said, we can be a confident, empowered, supercharged, high vibrational woman at all times. But I am finding so much empowerment in the process of how I'm treating myself when things don't go to plan. And it's just like this, it's making that inner mother voice so much louder. So when things don't go my way, just speaking to myself softly, like, it's okay. Everything's going to work out. Take a breath and keep moving forward. So that's another sign that you are an empowered woman, is that you are finding strength and exercising strength in your softness. And softness doesn't have to be in those more confusing, dense, unknown moments. It's just at all times understanding that we are feminine beings and we have so much power in understanding our softness. And that's, and that sort of leads into the next point of another sign that you're an empowered woman, is that you understand your thoughts and emotions. And by being soft in that, so like I said, I just sort of gave an example of understanding my thoughts, and that inner dialogue when things didn't go to plan was me saying, that's all right, everything's going to be okay. We're going to pick ourselves up and we're going to trust that everything's going to be okay. And it's also the same with our emotions. We can, a sign that you're a disempowered woman is that you're trying to control or minimize or avoid your emotions. But as women, we are literally wired to feel. We are feelings factories. We feel differently to men. We feel more intensely to men. And a sign of being an empowered woman is, like I said, understanding your thoughts and emotions. And it's about knowing that we need to honor our emotions. So if you're having a rough day, just let yourself feel angry, have a cry, etc. But we're not identifying or putting a heavy story, which is, the understanding our thoughts. We're not putting a meaning or an understanding or a heavy story on why you're feeling that way. You're just feeling that way, and that's okay. And it's about, as an empowered woman, creating rituals and space for those emotions to come through. We're not trying to control them. We're not trying to bypass them. We are honoring them, because there's so much wisdom in that. There's so much power in our emotions. That's the ticket. That's the ticket as a woman, is finding that inner compass and honoring the deeply multifaceted technicolor experience we have energetically as women. And the way we feel our energy is through emotion, is in a lot of ways, but through emotion for women. It's so, so deep and wonderful. So that's another sign that you're an empowered woman, is that you're understanding your thoughts, you're understanding your emotions, and you're finding softness in the strength of that. So apply that to your experience and understand that you're a unique woman. So I've given examples of how I need to be soft with myself, but it will apply differently for you. But take that as a general sign and then apply and embrace your uniqueness with that. And it's transformative and it's so beautiful. And that's what I mean, like when I was saying at the start of the episode, is that I think we can delay the opportunity to celebrate ourselves because we don't realize that being an empowered woman is done in the quiet moments. It's done without an audience. It's done without a pat on the back. And that's why, one of the many reasons I wanted to create this episode is because it's an opportunity to see that there's so many more opportunities to pat yourself on the back. It's not about being the loudest one in the room and the biggest voice and the biggest aura and energy. And that's great if you have that. And when you have that, celebrate that. But to be a truly empowered woman is to realize that a lot of these empowering traits and rituals and self-awareness practices and identities are soft and quiet, and they're very subtle and they're very intricate, and they can feel invisible for other people, but other people don't need to know. They're just going to feel the result of it. But this understanding these signs of an empowered woman, is the crux of it, is improving your relationship with yourself. And like I said, the first sign is becoming that woman that knows that you've got you. In those little intricate moments where you choose to have a positive mindset instead of a negative mindset, when you choose to honor your emotions without shame or guilt rather than put them down. It's like constantly turning the dial and turning the compass towards being an empowered woman. And sometimes it happens in big celebratory moments. Like I said, you get the job, or you get the relationship, you get the partner, you get the plane ticket, whatever it is. But don't delay the opportunity to celebrate yourself when you're making these conscious, small, intricate, beautiful, small but super potent, super beautiful decisions every day to be the most empowered, authentic version of yourself. So yeah. Okay, the next sign that you are an empowered woman is that you know how to regulate your nervous system. And note that I didn't say you have a regulated nervous system, because you're setting yourself up for failure if you expect as a human being to have your nervous system regulated in every single moment in this current society, basically. Excuse me. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm getting really excited and it's all coming up. Yeah, basically, and I'm not saying that to make you feel disempowered, but the expectations, and with the introduction of technology into our world now, the expectation to be as available as we are and be as productive as we are and do as much as we're expected to do. Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. Oh, excuse me. Will wreak havoc on our nervous system. If you're seeing, your ability, if you're having this expectation to have your nervous system regulated at all times, you're setting yourself up for failure. So a sign that you are a truly empowered woman is that you know how to regulate your nervous system. And there are so many tools out there, including ones that I have been recording and popping on the Oasis State Club video platform. And it's about having a tool belt, because in my experience, regulating my nervous system hasn't been able to be done through one singular practice and have the same success rate or potency every time. It's been really important to me to have a whole tool belt and a range of things that I can do. Some are body-based practices, other ones are speaking softly to myself, other ones are getting out in nature, some of them are breath related. And I can honestly say that I tick the box of being an empowered woman in this particular category, because I know how to regulate my nervous system, and it's so important to do. Like I said, in this current society, it is not set up for us to just naturally have a regulated nervous system. And I'm not saying that to feel disempowered or to be all woke and angry, but to remind you that it is your responsibility and your right as a sovereign being to know how to regulate your nervous system. And it just feels so much better when we're in our fight or flight. We're constantly looking for threats, we're dysregulated, we're tapped out, we don't have access to our intuition because we're not in that receiving state, we're stuck in that masculine. And then when we're switching back to our parasympathetic nervous system and our rest and digest, that's when we're relaxed and we're taking deep breaths and we're feeling connected and we're having intuitive downloads, etc. So yeah, if you want to know how to regulate your nervous system, maybe have a look into the Oasis State Club or just do your own research. But it is so important as a woman to regulate our nervous system. Men obviously have dysregulated nervous systems as well. Basically, as human beings, we have the nervous systems. Our nervous systems are wired like the cavemen that we used to be, but we've had hundreds and thousands of years of growth and technology, but our nervous systems have stayed the same. So we have this like ancestral ancient nervous system with this high expectation of technology and availability and showing up, and it's just not compatible. So you have to, as an empowered woman, know how to regulate your nervous system. And like I said, men get a dysregulated nervous system as well, but especially as women, because we've got this whole cyclical hormonal thing going on as well. And I just feel like our nervous systems are just a little bit more sensitive, but we're not seeing that as a limitation. It's about choosing to see that our sensitivity is our superpower. And that sort of links on to my next sign is, and like I said, these are signs, but that you can sort of see that like me saying your sensitivity is superpower sort of comes under the umbrella of some other signs you're an empowered woman that I've already mentioned, like understanding your emotions and your thoughts. So it's all interconnected is what I'm trying to say in a really long-winded way. But we as women, and especially empowered women, need to understand that our sensitivity is our superpower, but the only way it becomes your superpower is by understanding and having a constructive relationship with that sensitivity. So like I said, it's nervous system sensitivity, it's emotional sensitivity, it's energetic sensitivity, it's all of those sensitivities, because we're such beautifully intricate, deep, emotional creatures as women. But if you're not creating the right relationship and a constructive relationship with your sensitivity, it will constantly feel like a hindrance, or you're victimized or you're limited by it. And a sign that you're a truly empowered woman is understanding that our sensitivity is our superpower by shifting our relationship with it. And that's a whole, umbrella of things that you need to do. So like I mentioned before, what does it mean to you to understand that your sensitivity is a superpower? My definition will be different to yours because we're unique. I'm me and you're you. So that's the way the cookie crumbles. All right. The next sign that you are an empowered woman is I'm sorry, I'm just mixing up the points. I'm not going to put it in order. I'm just flowing. Is that as a woman, you live cyclically as well. So we are hormonal beings, and our hormones fluctuate in a cycle over 28 days. So this is our menstrual cycle, and it's deeply linked to our hormonal cycle, obviously. And we can't look to men for support and guidance with this. Well, obviously if they're educated on it, but basically what the point I'm trying to make is that men run on a circadian rhythm and their hormones fluctuate over a 24-hour cycle, whereas women are on an infradian rhythm and our hormones fluctuate over 28 days. So men's are fluctuating over hours, ours are fluctuating over days. So this is such a sign that you're an empowered woman, is that you are starting to understand and actively live cyclically, because our energy, our hormones, our positive mindset, everything that's available to us runs cyclically. So if you're expecting to run at the capacity of productivity and energy that you have ovulating, if you're expecting to do that when you're in your luteal or menstrual phase, it's just not going to happen. So a sign that you're a truly empowered woman is that you're starting to live cyclically and realizing that consistency is different every day. It's different every week. So over the 28-day cycle as women, we have 4 cycles. We've got an inner summer, inner winter, inner spring, inner autumn, and that's, menstrual, follicular, ovulating, and luteal. And I dive into this in my Oasis State Club video library as well. And if I literally am speaking another language to you, I highly, highly recommend checking that out on the Oasis State Club, or just doing your own research on how to live cyclically. It doesn't mean that you need to flip your diet and your lifestyle and everything upside down. It does help, but I'm just encouraging you to take the first steps. And sometimes the first steps to live cyclically is just being aware of what week of the cycle that you're in. And you might be like, how do I do that? We start tracking our period, and we can do that on an app. I use an app, and I've used a whole different bunches of apps. Or if you're not into technology, just start in a diary or a journal or something. And then once you sort of have an idea of how your period is cycling, it doesn't have to be over 28 days, that's the average, but very rarely will women be 28 days on the dot, so don't freak out if you're not. But start tracking your period so that you can understand energetically and hormonally where you're at every week. And honestly, that will make the biggest difference. Like I said, you can start eating differently and exercising differently, socializing differently, having different expectations for your productivity. All of those things fall under the umbrella of living cyclically. But if that seems overwhelming to just pivot that much right now, just simply tracking your period and being aware energetically and hormonally of which week you're in, because we're literally 4 different women over this monthly cycle, that's going to make a world of difference. And it's going to bring you more into a state of empowerment, because you're getting a more authentic relationship with yourself, rather than having this hot and cold, sense of success and failure, because you're putting the wrong expectations on yourself for the wrong part of your energetic and hormonal cycle, if that makes sense. So that's another sign you're an empowered woman. Okay, I'm just making sure I'm not skipping any, because I'm actually not doing this in order. Like I said, I usually just channel all of this, but I wanted to use my notebook. Softness, we've done that one. Regulate. Okay, another sign that you are an empowered woman is that you know how to ask and receive support. Ask for and receive support. And boy, oh boy, has this been a hard one for me, because I suppose, again, it's like that really warped, limited PR manager experience with, I don't know why it needs to be a manager, but that limited scope of the PR around being an empowered woman is that we should be able to do everything by ourselves. And there is a level of empowerment that comes from autonomy. Like I I can definitely tick that box off. I run my own business. I live by myself. I keep myself active. It's not like I live alone by myself and I scroll on my phone all the time. I have this autonomy to keep my vibration up, and I'm creating and I'm reading and I'm regulating and I'm creating softness and I'm holding myself through the tears, etc. There's definitely a level of empowerment that comes from autonomy. But what I'm realizing is can become really warped and toxic if you try to exist in a hyper independent state for too long. And that's also a bit of a trauma response. I think if you're the eldest daughter or the eldest person in the family, or you've had a familial situation or friendship dynamics, relationship dynamics throughout your life where you're always looking after other people, but you struggle to reach out and receive support from others, that's a sign of imbalance, and it will not be leaving you feeling empowered. It will leave you feeling isolated and resentful and confused. So a sign that you're a truly empowered woman is that you know how to ask for help and actually receive that support. And like I said, it's like the autonomy is important, but it's about finding that balance, because I've definitely switched into hyper independence too much, and you think it's like I can do everything by myself, which is really important to know that. But as human beings, we are wired for connection and we are wired for support. We were literally not put on this earth to be able to do everything for ourselves. And you probably have the weight of the world on your shoulders and this backpack of baggage and responsibilities and stress and everything, and it's weighing you down. It's not true empowerment by walking around holding all of that expectation and stress and emotion, whatever it is, on your shoulders. So knowing how to ask for help, super fucking uncomfortable. Do not get me wrong, but that's a sign of empowerment, is that you can do an uncomfortable thing, and it takes a while. You have to build it up like a muscle, and reach out to the people that feel safe. And if they don't feel safe right now, then reach out to other people, or even if it's ChatGTP, like start somewhere by flexing that muscle and realizing it's okay to ask for support, and it's a sign of empowerment that I'm asking for support. And then on the other end of the spectrum is receiving support. So if you have beautiful, loving people around you and they offer you support, no one's giving you a medal for saying no. If someone's like, hey, can I help you bring the groceries in? Hey, I can help you move if you need. Hey, can I, give you a hug? You seem stressed out. No one's giving you a medal for saying no to that. Like, we're not here to wave the flag of look how tough and strong I am. Like I said, there is so much strength and power that comes from having autonomy. And like I said, knowing that you are the version of you that has got you. But it's also about finding a healthy balance and realizing that we are human beings that are wired for connection, and it's important to ask for support. And if you are able to offer something to someone like support or emotional, regulation or whatever it is, it's okay to expect that and ask for that in return. So that's a sign of true empowerment, is that no matter how uncomfortable it is, it's only uncomfortable at the start, and then you start getting, feeling into that identity and feeling comfortable with it. Is knowing how to ask for support, but then also receiving that support. And if someone's like, hey, can I help you bring the groceries in? And you say yes, that is getting us into our feminine energy, which is our receiving energy. And by showing the universe and switching energetically into that feminine receiving energy, it's going to bring our manifestations in faster. Because if you're out there putting desires out into the world and taking aligned action for your manifestations and they're not coming in, I guarantee you it's something to do with your feminine energy. You're probably too blocked and you're not receiving it because you're not in the energy of receiving. So yeah, that's another sign you're an empowered woman. Okay, where am I at? We've done that one. Living cyclically, yes. Okay, we've got 2 more, guys. Another sign that you're an empowered woman is that you do not harbor negative feelings towards people. So just say you're actioning the previous point of asking for support, and the person that you've asked for support can't offer that to you, or maybe they're not as consciously aware. Like, for whatever reason, they're a sovereign being. They can say yes or no. But you, as an empowered woman, you're not harboring negative feelings or resentment or taking anything personally when people might let you down or might not be able to do something or trigger an illusion of rejection or isolation for you. And forgiveness practices have been the hugest part of that for me. And that's another, I reckon that's honestly probably the most important video that I have on the Oasis State Club is the content around forgiveness, because that is such a sign that you are an empowered woman, is that you know how to practice forgiveness and proper, really like bold forgiveness, like taking accountability for your part in it and acknowledging unification and acknowledging the transmutation and the gratitude that comes from the experience that you went through, no matter how heartbreaking or complicated, confusing and hurtful it was. We're using that forgiveness practice to transmute that pain into power. So that's a sign that you're a truly empowered woman, is that we're not harboring negative feelings. And that is so much easier said than done. And it's okay. Like, I still have waves of resentment that come up towards an ex or whatever. But when it comes up, I have the tools, I have the awareness, because I'm an empowered woman and I know how to transmute that resistance, that resentment, that unforgiveness, whatever it is, back into acceptance and wholeness. And yeah, that's a sign that you're a truly empowered woman, is that you're not sweating the small stuff anymore. You're not walking around angry at the world because I did all of this and I'm an empowered woman and I do everything for people and I'm so nice and everything's mean to me. Like, ew, that's a victimhood mentality, and that is full stop disempowerment. So I'm sorry, my loves, you can't walk around, like I said, acting all successful and confident and things like that, and just having this spiky, toxic relationship with everyone, even like subtly or subconsciously. So to be an empowered woman, we do not harbor negative feelings towards people. And like I said, way easier said than done. We're human beings. We're going to have complex emotions come up. We're going to have resistance. We're going to have hurt. We're going to have traumas. We're going to have illusions of, threats and all of that sort of stuff. But when you're an empowered woman, you are the version of yourself that, like I said, you are the version of yourself that you've got you. So that when you do have those negative feelings towards someone, you trust that you have the tools and awareness and ability to transmute those negative feelings, that resentment and that pain into power. Oh, such a good point. And the last sign that you are an empowered woman is practical things. So a lot of the things that I've been talking about are very ether, 5D, inner world related, but we need to be able to see, like, our environment is our looking glass. So when I mean practical things, is all of that inner work that we're doing, the forgiveness and regulating our nervous system and trusting and blah, 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 all of that stuff. How is that reflected out in your 3D environment? It's the looking glass that is showing you that you have been able to connect the 5D, the ether, all of that inner work out into your 3D reality through practical things. So this falls onto it's a big point, and I'm not going to go too deep into it, but what are your habits like? What are your rituals like? Are you creating space for yourself every morning? Do you have rituals to honor your emotions, etc.? Another practical thing is your environment. Are you in, a negative, toxic, stressful environment at home or at work, in your social groups? Like, if you're sitting there around there with in your social groups and you're speaking negatively, speaking in limiting ways, judging people, bitching about people, that's not a sign that you're an empowered woman. You're sitting there and wasting your energy in these low vibrational frequencies. So your environment is everything, and that it's even socially. So that's like relational stuff as well. Your environment, in the sense that, what is your space looking like? Is it cluttered? Is it clean? Like, I find that whenever I'm feeling like a big manifestation is coming along, it's like I get this urge to clean my space, and it's like I'm literally energetically creating space for that new desire or that new manifestation coming in. And every time I do a big clean, then I'll get the email, the phone call, the idea will come through, or the money, or whatever it is. So yeah, is your space tidy and clean? Are you proud of it? Are there plants around that are making you feel relaxed and soft and purifying the air? Is there artwork on your walls that inspire you? Are there I've got photos in my fridge that I'm looking at right now of happy times and smiles. And it's up to you. It's up to you to keep your environment as high vibrational and looking as empowered as possible. And And that might be affirmations as well. Speaking of the whole empowerment thing, you might need some affirmations on your mirror saying, I'm successful, or I'm intelligent, or whatever, affirmations you need. So the practical things, like I said, so I've done environment, relationships, habits, and then a few other things are like boundaries and standards. I was having a conversation, it was actually with a man last night, a special person I have in my life. And so this doesn't just apply for being an empowered woman, but he was saying that he doesn't feel great around someone in his social group, and another friend was having a go at him saying, oh, you're so judgmental. But I came in from the angle from what he was explaining, and I said to him, I actually think you're practicing discernment, and it's okay to have boundaries and it's okay to have standards, because he wasn't speaking negatively about this person. He was speaking to how he feels in his body and how he feels, like who he has to become to be around that person. And because of that, he decided he did not want to be around that person. So that's a really good example of a boundary. But also mentioning that other friend was, oh, but I think you're being judgmental. You can't outsource your boundaries by how someone else reacts to them. So discernment and judgment are very, very different things. And when you're an empowered woman, we need to practice discernment. We need to have energetic boundaries. Whether you have to set that verbally or physically or whatever it is, it's okay to not want to be around someone or a person or a hobby or whatever it is. Like, it's just say all your friends are smoking. If you don't want to be around that, you don't have to be around that. But the point that I'm making is that this person in my life was feeling, oh, I'm judgmental and I'm limited and I'm shallow. And it's like, no, if you were speaking negatively about that person, then yes, you would be judging. But all he was commenting on is the effect that person has around him. And we're not for everyone. Like, we don't have enough time in this lifetime to get to know everyone and be liked by everybody. And it's okay to practice those boundaries and set those standards, because your time and your energy and your focus are the most important, valuable things to you. So you need to be setting boundaries about how you want to be showing up in the world and sharing your energy and sharing your focus, and doing that unapologetically. And sort of like asking for help, setting boundaries is really uncomfortable at the start. It was so physically uncomfortable for me. Like, I would have a visceral response and feel like sweating and confused and shaky and all of that. But it's like a muscle, and over time I've had to learn to not take other people's reactions to my boundaries personally. And the reason we set boundaries and the reason we ask for help and the reason we're interacting with people around us, that the way that we're doing that is directly proportional to how deeply we know and trust ourselves. So if you're setting that boundary from a place of, I deeply know that this is what I want and need for myself, you will be able to set that boundary more comfortably and not absorb that other person's reaction. And I'm not saying that every time you set a boundary, you're going to get a negative response. Don't stress out about that. But it's just life. We're all different human beings, and some people aren't going to understand the boundary that you're setting, probably because they have leaky, weak boundaries. And again, so that's a bit judgmental, but I'm just saying that it's like, you need to come back to trusting how you're doing the practical things, the environment, the relationships, the boundaries, the conversations, the habits, all the things that you're doing. You don't need permission from anyone else to do those things. Being a truly empowered woman is making sure that those practical things are reflecting all of these other inner work, invisible, intricate things that we're doing to be an empowered woman. So yeah, my loves, I'm going to leave that there. I lost track of how many signs that was, but I hope that this episode has resonated with you. And if some of the signs surprised you, then put a bit more energy and intention there. And we're never going to be a finished product. It's always about stepping into the best version of ourselves, but not like a work in progress sort of energy. It's using this blanket energy of coming back to wholeness and coming back to acceptance of ourselves that will shift us into celebrating that we're already empowered, if that makes sense. Okay, my loves, if this resonated with you and you want to dive deeper into all of these things, I really, really encourage you to at the time that I'm recording this episode, join the waitlist for Oasis State Club. It's still going to open in a few weeks' time, or maybe when you're listening to this, it will be open, but please come and join the club. Like I said, there's a video library I'm going to be adding to it all the time. So it's just endless soulful content that goes into spiritual work, mindset work, physical work, which is nervous system stuff. We're doing navigating change and cyclical living, and it's a plethora of things there. We've also got meditations and EFT tapping sequences to help us regulate our nervous systems and embody what we're learning in the library. So that's sort of the autonomous self-study side of Oasis State Club. But then we've also got the community side of it, which is really, really important, because if you're on your empowerment journey, it can get really lonely and isolating, and we can have a lot of changes to our social structure and our opportunities. And there's a lot of navigating the void and the unknown space when we're committed to that empowerment journey. So community is so important. And on the Oasis State Club, we're doing weekly one-on-one community, not one-on-one, sorry. We're doing weekly community calls with myself, so you can get real-time support. Come and ask me any questions about where you're at in the journey, and we'll have a chat about that. But then it's not also about just receiving my support. There might be other women on the call that are resonating with the question that you ask or where you're at, and we're just going to create a safe space for all of us to recognize, support, and inspire each other in the journey. And then there'll also be a private forum as well, like a safe space for women to connect all over the world and share our experiences at all times. So I would love to see you in the Oasis State Club, and I'll catch up with you on the next episodes. Hey my loves, I hope you loved the episode. Be sure to check out the show notes for links to all things Oasis State, and I'll see you in the next episode.